Hey there, it's Will Vaughan from Your Career Mastery, and in this video, we're going to talk about coming back from a career gap. So let's say you've taken 5, 2, 3, 4 years off work, whatever it is, and we're going to talk about how you can re-enter the workforce, some tips for re-entering the workforce, but also some tips for answering some of the questions that might come up in job interviews about your career gap. The first thing I want to share here is that it's totally fine to take a career gap for whatever reason, and actually it's becoming way more common for people to take career gaps for whatever reason these days. Now, whether it is for mental health reasons or personal sickness reasons, maybe it's for family reasons, maybe you've just started a family, you want to take some extra leave to support your partner as you go through that transition, whether it's starting a family for the first time or having a new child enter your family, or maybe you just want to take some time off to travel. So I know that's been the case for one of the people that I used to work with in my current role. She and her partner have just left Australia to travel around Europe and live abroad. They plan to get some work there, but they also plan just to travel and take a break from work. And they're really not too stressed about how it's going to affect their career in the short term or the long term, which I think is a really healthy approach to it. So in this video, I want to talk about my thoughts on taking a career gap and also re-entering the workforce afterwards. So that's my first point, is that it's totally normal and acceptable to take a gap from your career. And if it's something that you're thinking about doing, I highly suggest that you set yourself up to not put undue stress on yourself or your family when you take that career gap. But if you really need to take that gap, then you should absolutely do it. Just make sure you set yourself up for it. And tip number 2, right? So when it comes to re-entering the workforce after a career gap, there's something that you absolutely need to remember that's critical, and that is that employers could not care less about your career gap. What employers care about is, can you step into a role and be effective and drive value? They only care about your skills and your experiences and the value that you can bring their company and the impact you can have through your role if you were to get it in their company and working in a particular field. If I'm a recruiter or an employer and I see that someone's got a career gap on their resume, in the interview, I might want to just ask about it to address it. But ultimately, if that person is very qualified for the job, they're a cultural fit, they've got the qualifications, the skills and the experiences to step into, let's say, my company and add value, I could care less about their career gap. And most employers and recruiters are not going to care either, as long as you've got all the qualifications. And I think that that can be a barrier for many people in terms of people who want to take a break from their career but feel like they can't because they feel like they're going to be starting from scratch again when you re-enter the workforce. But that's absolutely not true. You might actually find you gather some really important skills and perspective during your career break that actually could assist in your career. For example, if you happen to travel during your career break, then that travel experience could actually give you some hard skills or even some soft skills that might assist you in your career in the short term or in the long term. But otherwise, the perspective that you can get from taking a break and stepping back from your career can really assist you in terms of you're bringing a fresh perspective in terms of what you want from your career and the value that you can bring a company when you decide to re-enter the workforce. But the key point here that I want to drill home is that you're not starting from scratch again. When you re-enter the workforce, you still bring all that great experience, that skill, that maturity, all the things that you've developed in your career before you took the break. And also you might, like I said, pick up some skills during your career break or gap as well. And when you re-enter the workforce, you bring all that with you, and employers only care about your skills and your experiences that you bring to the table. They're not going to look at your career gap and think, oh, that's a deal breaker, they took a career gap. Many people take career gaps for all kinds of reasons, and sometimes we let our insecurity break us down and really hold us back from either taking that break or thinking that that break is going to hold us back in our career. But it's really not the truth at all, because like I said, it's becoming more acceptable and common these days to take a career break. All right, so let's say you've taken your career break and you're ready to re-enter the workforce. There's 2 things you need to start doing. The first one is you need to brush off that resume. So you need to get that clean piece of paper, start putting all your relevant skills, your experiences, your achievements, all the key projects you've worked on, dump it all into like a Google Doc or a Word doc, and then you want to cherry pick the things that are relevant for every job you apply for. So I talk about in a number of videos that when you are applying for jobs, you always want to tailor your resume and customize it to make it as specific as possible for each application that you send out, because a recruiter or a hiring manager is going to look at your resume and they're trying to see, of all the candidates they're reviewing, who are the top ones that stand out as the best picks for this particular role. So you might be applying for a range of roles that are very similar, but there'll be nuances to each individual application and each company you apply for, which is why it is so important to tailor your resume for each application, because you really want to speak the language of the people who are going to be reviewing it and making sure that you're tailoring your resume in a way that's highly specific, highly relevant, and highly impactful for the job that you're applying for, to make sure you really have the best chance of standing out from the competition. The second thing you need to do is, once you start brushing up your resume, or while you're brushing it up, is start talking to recruiters, because recruiters can help you brush up that resume for your particular industry. And you really want to find a recruiter who specializes in recruiting for roles for your industry, because that's going to give you the best chance of lining up with specific roles that are going to be relevant for you, and maybe lining up with roles that aren't even advertised in market yet. So you want to look at roles that are advertised on LinkedIn or whatever job sites are relevant to your market, but you also want to talk to recruiters, because they're a great source of unadvertised jobs, but also helping you prepare in the best possible way for job interviews, because the recruiters have a vested interest in helping a company find the right talent for a role. So they will be able to help you understand the pain points and what the company is trying to achieve by hiring this new role, which can help you tailor your responses to behavioral-based questions. It can help you with your preparation going into the job interview to give you the best chance of succeeding through the recruitment process. So they're really my best tips, right? So if you're thinking about taking a career gap, but you're worried about how it's going to affect your career in the short term or the long term, I really suggest that you set yourself up. Don't put any unnecessary mental blockers on your desire to take a break. If you want to take a break and you need to take a break, you should absolutely take it. Just make sure you set yourself up for it. And then when you want to re-enter the workforce, brush up the resume, start talking to recruiters. And also, the more job interviews that you get, the more you're going to improve that job interview muscle, because interviewing for jobs is its own skill in and of itself. And if you go to all my videos on my channel, I talk about a lot of videos and a lot of content that helps you prepare for job interviews, answer job interview questions, prepare last minute for job interviews. So there's a ton of resources on this channel. And also when it comes to crafting a great resume, tons of resources on this channel, all free, to help you try and have the best chance of landing that job that you're going after. But like I said, job interviews are their own skill in terms of how you prepare for a job interview, how you research the company and the role to make sure that you can frame your skills, your experience, your achievements in a way that's going to be highly relevant for the business that you're going to be interviewing with and the specific role that you're interviewing for. So I'm Will Vaughan from Your Career Mastery. Hope you found this content helpful. If you did, or if you've got any questions, leave them in the comments below. Like I said, if you got value, please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button on the video. More videos coming out each and every week to make you a more successful professional. And I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.